Hi everyone, Eileen here. It's the weekend and that means a couple of Lavinia stamps video tutorials from me to you. I'm doing this one featuring Mooch, one of the cats, today. Not sure what I'm doing tomorrow yet, but I'll find something, I'm sure. And I'll also be using one of the Lavinia stamps' new stencils. So the card that I'm going to show you is here. It's quite a large card, and I've used a piece of multifarious cardstock from Lavinia stamps, A4 size sheet that I've folded, creased, and then cut to 14 centimeters in width and 20 centimeters in length. It's just over 5 by 7, I think. I'm not absolutely 100% sure. Okay, let's go. So here's one I prepared earlier. And I'm going to use the stencil first. This is called Flora, and it's one of the new release stencils from Lavinia stamps. I'm not going to bother to tape it down. Excuse me, but I want to hold it quite firmly, and I'm using one of the makeup brushes and Distress Inks Victorian Velvet, and also another makeup brush, Ice Spruce, and starting off with the Ice Spruce. This is quite an old ink pad, and I don't really want any of the background to be overpowering, so very light wrist action, no pressure on the head at all, and just a gentle do a circular motion and hold the stencil down a bit firmer. So keep it in the middle, a little bit out to the left, a bit to the right, but not right the way over to the top or the bottom or the sides, just a bit in the middle. Let's have a look. Just about see that. You can't see it until you lift the stencil up. It's very pale, but that's the look that I'm after. And then onto the Victorian Velvet again, very lightly. Don't want the background overpowering everything, so it's hardly noticeable until you take that stencil up. I just want a bit more pink there so you can actually see it. Right, that will do. So it's just a very, very soft image in the middle. Next, going to pop on some text using archival shadow grey ink and my stamp mat, because I will need that. And here it is. Let's pop that down there. I'm just checking you can see okay. Yep. And a bit more copy paper because I'll be stamping off of the card. And I don't want to cover the mat in the ink, so pop that there. Just going to ink up with this grey, shadow grey archival. I'm not going to take off any ink, but I'm not going to press too heavily, so it's first generation. I don't really want to read all the text, I just want to see some of the font. It's so attractive. And this stamp is called Sacred Spells. I use this a lot. You can see from the stamp itself it's well loved. So I'm not pressing down too heavily. And over on the left hand side, just make sure your stamp is 1 up the right way and 2 is straight, because you will notice that even if you can't read the text. And then down, but not pressing too heavily. So I'm just getting a word or even a letter here and there. Over and down a bit to the right hand side, and then back over to the left and pressing a little bit more firmly, and then over again to the right and pressing even with more weight there, and again pressing harder down as we go to the bottom, and then finally over to the right hand side and really giving it some welly so that you can see the text. Big area there, so put some more text on that, but I'm just looking for a bit of interest, a bit of texture in the background rather than all of the words, and that just gives me a nice added interested layer. Now we come to the main image, and I'm using VersaFine Clear Nocturne. Fairly new pad, I think this is November, yeah, 220. And this is Mooch, and he is gorgeous, a gorgeous cat. Gentle tapping, pouncing rather than splurging out with the ink, because the ink pad is very wet. I don't want the ink leaking all over the polymer of the stamp onto the block itself. So just tap, tap, tap until you're happy that the whole of the image is covered but not soaking with ink. I've got a little stray bit there which I'll use a damp cloth to take it off. Just a tiny bit. Got it. And then over he goes, and he's about 2.5, maybe 3 inches up from the bottom and over to the right a little bit. It's not right in the middle. Down. Let the ink soak in. And then a nice firm pressure without rocking the stamp, and up. And there he is. He's gorgeous. Now at this point you can give him a quick blast with the heat gun, because now I'm going to apply some masks over the top of him, and I don't really want the ink to move. So if you want to blast it with a heat gun, now is your chance, whereas I'm leaving it a little bit while I find the mask, and I'll probably get away with it. So the masks that I'm using are 2 positive images of circles, moons or suns, whatever you want to call them, and I've got 2 different sizes, and the first one's going over the top of Mooch, over his head and a fair bit of his body, and I'm using the Victorian Velvet ink. I'm not going to bother to ink up this makeup brush at the moment. I want to see how much ink I've got left on. I do prefer using the makeup brushes for applying ink through round masks, circles, because I find I've got more control over the ink than I do with a smoothie. It doesn't seem to, this one gives me a more hazy look with a makeup brush. It gives a finer amount of ink coming out from the brush itself, so that it looks more of a haze. But I've moved it and I've got to go back. Right, oh, it's come over quite dark here all of a sudden. If we're going to get some rain. Sun's gone in. Okay, so coming out with that. There he is. And then using the smaller mask now and overlapping, interlinking with the first mask of the sun, moon, is my second one. Again, not going to ink up the brush. I'm really gripping the brush's head and applying a lot of pressure now, so that it releases the ink that's still left in the bristles of the brush. But it's still giving me that lovely ethereal hazy look, which is what I'm after, like so. Okay, finished with those. Now I'm on to a quickie glue pen. Now just going around the outline of the sun, moon. You could take your time with this. I'm rushing it a little bit. And this is where also you need to make sure that your image of Mooch is dry, because now it's on the outside of my finger and I've got some of the ink on the moon, but I shall get rid of that with the rubber in a moment. So let's put that there. So that's why I should have used the heat gun to dry it off. So do what I say, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do as I do. But I haven't damaged it too much. So that's... And this blue ink glue dries clear rather, so that you'll be okay with that. And I shall apply the glitter in a minute. There we go, nearly there. So, right. This is a Tombow Mono eraser, sand eraser, and the number of it is 512A for alpha, 512A, and it's for ink. And I've got a smudge of ink there that came off of my finger, and now it's gone. You can't use it on every cardstock, but it seems to work okay on this one. And it works on Paper Mill Direct, super smooth as well. And now I best put the glitter on quickly, otherwise I'll have to apply the glue again. So let's move this out of the way. This is Sweet Poppy Stencil's Crystalline Rainbow glitter. It's very fine, covering it everywhere, as you can see. I'll just tap it off onto my other piece of paper. Let's move that out of the way. I have to clean thoroughly my crafting area when I'm using glitter, because I've got 2 small doggies and ferrets, and it can damage their paws or get in their paws. So I'm very careful when I get rid of glitter into the bin, which is beside me here. And I make sure that I vacuum the carpet as well. Okay. Right. I think I don't want to take any more off with the brush, but there's some more surplus glitter there that will come off later when it's thoroughly dry. Okay, so next is the word sparkle, which is here. It's part of a sentence from Lavinia Stamps. I can't remember what the rest of the sentence says, and I'm afraid to say that instead of masking it, as I did at the beginning, I decided to cut off the word sparkle because I use it a lot on its own. So I hope that I'm forgiven, but it still works with the rest of the sentence, no problem. But I do like to be able to use the word on its own. Got a stamping mat again, because I can't stamp without this, because I find that it gives me really good results. And sparkle is going just in the middle of this moon. Make sure it's straight, hold it down, let the ink soak in, and then down and up. And that's that. And then the final thing is some snow. But before I do that, I want to clean off Mooch the cat with a damp cloth, get all of the ink off, and then dry it off with some kitchen towel, because I haven't got a mask for him and I don't like all this cutting out. It's such a palaver, so I use the stamp where I can as the mask. And also the word sparkle, that comes off of the block. It's cleaned and popped over the top so that I can go mad with the snowfall, the blizzard, but it doesn't cover my main images, which I want them to be absolutely pristine silhouette black. Posca paint pens. These are both the same. I think one of them's running out, which is why I've got the two. Bullet shaped and 0.7 millimeters. I think this one's got more paint in it than the other one. So let's have a look. Move that down a smidge. And this is my perfect layers, which is heavier than a normal ruler. And then I'm just going to start whacking the paint, and it's starting to come out now. And I want it to be a real blizzard, so I'm quite heavy with this paint all over the card. No finesse here, just go for it. That's it. Both stamps are covered in snow, so careful how I lift them up and give them a quick wipe over so it's nice and clean. And my word, and there you have it. Just give my top a wipe with the cloth. Get my other card that I made earlier on, pop that down. Right, so what have we got? This is one that I made earlier. This is one that I've just completed, and it was fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and going to play again tomorrow. Who's going to join me? I hope that you do. So see you at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Bye for now. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.